You know, I am an absolute fan and acolyte of John Mearsheimer and his realistic world of realism when it comes to foreign affairs and foreign policy and the interdynamics of international blah, blah, blah. And it comes down to a very simple thing. Realism and this idea of anarchic systems where there is nothing above you. There is no group or no focus of order above the state, above the government. They only act in self-interest and self-preservation and wanting to get ahead. And it's very simple. There's really nothing to this. And I want to discuss this. And also, whenever you use the word anarchic, we have these folks, every now and then you come up with them. They're anarcho-syndicalists, or they claim to be, or they're anarchists. And they talk about some other anarchy where maybe there's no order in the world or something. I don't know. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something which is even more important. But most people are not going to be watching because they want to hear more about Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend in drag or some other stupid story. Again, motivated and predominated and dealt with by so many monstrously unimaginative people. But I digress. Let me say, first of all, before I forget, I want to say a special word to our sponsor. And about our sponsor, this is My Patriot Supply. And if you go to this particular link, and I have it linked here, preparewithlionel.com, you can take control. And I'm telling you, when it comes to emergency food, you can secure your survival with $200 off of a 3-month emergency food supply. That's what each person needs in a household. Now think about this. We're not talking about banana chips and stewed prunes. We're talking about a system of food. It's really a food system. 2,000 calories a day. 21 varieties with up to a 25-year shelf life. Tasty breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks. Resealable, heavy-duty, 4-layer pouches with oxygen absorbers. You heard me. Oxygen absorbers. 120 pounds of food, no MSG added, sealed into 6 rugged water-resistant buckets, free shipping, not marked with any kind of indication of what it is. You don't want some peering neighbor to find out, because let me tell you something. I don't want to go Hunger Games on you right now, but when the going gets tough, the tough get hungry. So listen to what I'm saying. Preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. Check it out for yourself, preparewithlionel.com, and act right now and get $200 right off the top of a 3-month supply. Preparewithlionel.com. I believe, my dear friend, that there is a world of rationality that is so fascinating, regarding foreign affairs and Ukraine and Russia, NATO, globalism, World Economic Forum, go down the list. But when you look at this and you analyze this and you ask yourself, what is it that's happening? What is it that's happening? I'm telling you what's happening. Everything right now is based upon this idea of simple realism. The idea that every country merely wants to protect itself, its own future, its own people, and that's it. And that when you take a country and you threaten that country, if they're able to repel you by virtue of their own particular firepower or armaments or whatever, they will do so. They will do so to fight you back, because people do not want to be pushed around. It is that simple. Can't say it any other way. Can't say it any other way, or in any way more perfectly than that. That simple. That simple. I have never heard such lunacy when it comes to people discussing what our role should be in either supporting Ukraine or Zelensky without any idea of what exactly to do. I noticed that we don't see as many of the Ukrainian flags up, which many times they had them upside down. They didn't really know. It was just another social media filter. And I've also learned one thing, that people, when they get into this idea of foreign, they get very, very, what's the word? Very base when it comes into this good guy, bad guy. And they love the idea of, and let me just explain how this works vis-a-vis American in particular, mainstream media. It works like this. Putin is evil. He's the consummate evil. He wants to be Peter the Great. He wants to somehow re-solidify, reconjoin, reform the Soviet Union. Putin said one time, and I paraphrase, anybody who doesn't remember or have a fondness for the Soviet Union doesn't have a heart. And anybody who wants to go back to it doesn't have a brain. So there is a combination of an appreciation for the historical aspect of it, the romantic aspect of it, but the realistic aspect of it. And unless you're able to apply some degree of empathy, unless you wax empathic, you will never understand what it is that somebody is thinking. Who are these people? And more importantly, with my Dollar Tree globe, where are these countries geographically? What is their degree of propinquity? What is their degree of nearness? How adjacent are they? When you have countries on the border of other countries, you're going to have a completely different worldview and vision of realpolitik than something which is theoretically elsewhere. Now, in 1962, the United States almost went to war with Russia because of nuclear missiles, which we alleged and we knew were in Cuba. Actually, there was something about missiles in Turkey, which is another story. But the official story was, we told Russia, in no uncertain terms, if you do not remove these weapons 90 miles, 90 from our coast, we will immediately commence serious action. Ukraine is on the border. It borders, it abuts, it is there. And when you ask people, do you understand, do you see, do you recognize any similarity between what was said then and what is said now, they will look at you and they'll say, no, I don't see so. Because there's this inability to be empathic, to understand realism, to understand that countries work in their own best interest, and that when you threaten them, they will react. And when you threaten them knowing they're going to react in a particular way, one could argue you're goading them. You're provoking them. This isn't my idea. This isn't me being contumacious. This isn't me throwing out the accepted version of this. This is me telling you the absolute truth. This is me telling you the way it actually is. So listen to me and listen carefully. Realism, John Mearsheimer, listen to him. He is everywhere on YouTube. He is by far the greatest. University of Chicago, I think the voice of complete and total reason, and certainly not one that you will hear ever on any of the mainstream statist sock puppet media platforms that are absolutely the worst. Because what is being talked about today in terms of what is considered critical in the world is something I just do not understand. Thank you so much. Remember, preparewithlionel.com. Get that 3-month emergency food supply. Save $200. Also, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment as you see fit.